Hi everyone, how's it going? So I've been pretty bored lately and I recently got back into the Harry Potter movies. And when I was watching them through, I couldn't help but really notice the Butterbeer, which in case you didn't know is essentially cream soda meets butterscotch. Delicious, right? Anyways, me being me, I couldn't help but think of how good of a coffee combination that would be. So today we'll be making a Butterbeer inspired iced coffee. Try saying that 10 times fast. I couldn't do it. Alright, let's get started. So we're going to be using nitro cold brew today instead of cream soda as our coffee base. Second off, we'll be making our own homemade butterscotch, so you'll need brown sugar, you'll need unsalted butter, which I forgot to show here, vanilla extract, and you'll also need imitation rum flavor. This stuff is pretty cheap and affordable and you can find it at your local grocery store. Apple cider vinegar, you'll need heavy cream, and then we've also got our cold brew. You can use whatever you want. Stumptown is local to me, so that's what I'll be using. Alright, butterscotch is the first thing we're going to be making, so grab essentially all your ingredients except for the coffee and let's head over to the stove. Yep, just grab everything, try not to do it all in one trip like I did, but we got everything, so let's go. Alright, so the first thing you're going to do is 1 cup of tightly packed brown sugar and 2 tablespoons of water. Turn on your stove to medium-high heat and start whisking that until your sugar is totally dissolved and the water will help facilitate that. This might take a little bit of time, but at the same time it does go pretty quickly, so just be careful to keep whisking it so it doesn't burn to the bottom of your pan, because that's not what we're going for. Alright, at this point you're going to start to see a slight boil starting. Get it up to just a low boil and then we'll be adding some butter. You'll be needing 6 tablespoons of butter, which is a little less than 1 stick or half a cup. Alright, now that we've got that boil going, just dump your butter in there and then keep moving it around again so it doesn't burn to the bottom. Just adjusted my heat a little bit there, but we're good to go. Now, as it starts to melt, we're going to be adding half a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar just to kind of cut the sweetness and mellow it out a little bit. I'll also be adding just a touch of salt to balance the flavor. I did about half a teaspoon, which for me happens to be about 3 shakes. Now we're going to be adding 1/4 cup of heavy cream. As you put this in slowly, make sure you continue to whisk it, making sure you don't burn it to the bottom of the pan. Alright, you're going to want to see a nice golden color. Again, you can see our butter is almost completely melted, which is exactly what we want. Now that we've brought it up to a boil, we're going to immediately take it off the heat, bring it over, and we're going to start to let it cool. Now you're going to want to whisk it until all those bubbles and boiling bits go down, and at the very end of it, it should look like this. It'll be pretty hot and pretty watery, but don't worry, as it cools, it will start to thicken up. Okay, so I already got this part started, but we're going to make like a whipped cream sort of topping to our butterbeer. You're going to add half a teaspoon of imitation rum, half a teaspoon of vanilla, and then half a cup of heavy whipping cream, and 2 teaspoons of brown sugar. After this, you're just going to whisk that all together. You can use an electric whisk if you have one. I didn't have one at this moment, but it's totally fine because you're not going to be making full-on whipped cream. Essentially, you just want it to be a slightly thickened version where it kind of has some texture to it. You're just going to be floating this on top of your drink and mixing it in to create kind of like the head or the foam of your butterbeer as it is. You can see here, again, it's not stiff peaks, it's just a little bit textured. Alright, moving on to the very last step of the butterscotch. Now that it's cooled slightly, we're going to be adding half a teaspoon of our rum extract. That's the very last step for this. You add it in, give it one final whisk, and then let it continue to cool. It's still pretty watery at this point, but I promise you if you let it cool fully, it will be totally worth it. So let's just skip ahead to when it's cool. Okay, assembly time. So we're going to be putting in about 1/4 cup of our butterscotch mixture into the bottom of our iced cup. Yes, that is a lot. No, it's not healthy for you. Yes, it's going to taste delicious. Any more questions? Also, we're going to clean up our messes because this is Morgan Spills coffee and not Morgan Drinks coffee. Where'd you think you were? Now we're going to pour in our cold brew. Feel free to give it a taste as a quality check. Yes, it's delicious. It's going to be good stuff. Dump it in and give it a good mix. Make sure that butterscotch is fully incorporated throughout the cold brew and you're not going to get an accidental just sugar rush at the very end of it because you forgot to mix it, because that's definitely not happened to me before. Okay, moving on. We're going to fill up our cup with ice, and when I was editing, I decided it would be a really good idea to just make us watch this entire clip sped up of me putting ice in the cup, not realizing how long it would actually take, and me now recording this voiceover being too lazy to cut the clip. We're stuck here. We're gonna enjoy this moment of me struggling when I should just really order a new ice tray, and I'll probably do that, honestly, right now, right after this. Okay, now that we're all done, we're gonna do our final step of layering on that whipped cream mixture onto the top of our drink. Essentially, as I mentioned before, this is the head or the foam of the butterbeer as it is, and it's gonna add a really nice texture to the front of the drink and also create a much creamier texture throughout the rest of the drink. We're gonna mix this in, and some of it is gonna dissolve into your drink and some of it's gonna float on top. It's perfect. It's almost like magic, you might even say. Alright, as you see, we're getting a nice mix. The color is turning into a beautiful golden butterbeer color, and we've still got some floating on top. perfect. This turned out honestly way better than I was even expecting, and I'm really excited to drink it. So give it your flavor test, and yeah, that's delicious. I even made my cameraman try this one because it is so freaking yummy. It's got a wonderful texture all the way through, and it's caffeinated and it's sugary, and it's a great little mix-up in your coffee routine. Alright, so that was the recipe for today. If you guys make this at home, please tag me. I love to see all the variations and all the different things you do with these recipes. So Morgan Drinks Coffee on all platforms. I make TikTok videos every day and I post here every Friday. So subscribe and like and do all that stuff. Okay, see ya. Bye-bye.